Greetings YouTube, Hazmat here with another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Now what this is a Rotator X-8 by Airzone, and it is a Nerf Gun knockoff. They are really cheap, even brand new. They're like $8, but I see them around at Goodwills and thrift shops and stuff for literally a couple of bucks. You should be able to find one without too much trouble. Now there's some things about this that are just ghastly. The bottom has this weird orange bottle thing on it that's actually the cocking lever. Now I'm going to use this as a movie prop, and I do not want darts flying out when I pull the trigger, so I will never be cocking it. I removed this. You don't have to. You can always leave it on there and have a functional Nerf type gun when you're all done. But I removed it. Then there is the hammer shroud. Hate it, hate everything about it. It's got to go. And then there's this weird badminton birdie basket thing on the front. Got to go. And of course, stickers. You need to remove the stickers. Now, if you end up having some residue left when you remove the stickers, just rub a little bit of peanut butter on there, leave it on there for about 5 minutes, and it should wipe right off. Most sticker residue will come off plastic with peanut butter. This is no exception. Now, take your screwdriver and take the two halves apart and get a good shot of the inside workings. It probably isn't a bad idea to take some notes, because once you start lifting some of these parts out, there are some small springs and things in there that need to be back in place for this Nerf gun to work when you're done. Some simple drawings. It's not overly complex, but some simple drawings are really going to save you some headache. And so my suggestion is get a good solid picture and then make a few very basic drawings once you lift some of these parts out and see what's going on underneath. To the hammer shroud, that must go. Take your Dremel tool, and if you don't have one, you could probably use a hacksaw blade, but I strongly suggest you get a Dremel tool and some cutting blades. You can find them around. They're not overly expensive, even brand new, if you're not buying one of the fancy ones. It's really just gonna be a godsend anytime you're working on projects. So invest the money in a Dremel tool and cut off that shroud. Now when you're done cutting off the shroud, you're gonna have this weird ducktail sticking off the back of the top of the pistol grips, and it just really looks out of place. So that had to go too. Now once you remove it, you're going to have this weird, ugly, open hole in the back of the grips. Fear not, we are going to take care of that. Now remember the 1950 style ray gun tutorial and how I showed you to do a metal distressing technique to make plastic look like it's made of metal? We're going to do the same thing here. As always, when you're going to paint plastic, take some sandpaper and go over all the surfaces. I use like a 400 grit. Just go over all the surfaces. I know there's lots of paints out there that say they bond with plastic, and they probably do, but it's just going to make all the difference in the world on how well the paint adheres if you just give it a slightly roughened surface to grab onto. So go over all your surfaces with some sandpaper prior to painting. Paint it all black, and then we will do our silver spray paint metal distressing technique. Again, you could use rub and buff. It's much more expensive, but it also really looks like metal if you truly buff it. And you can see here that the project's starting to show some pretty good potential, but we've still got that ugly hole in the back on the top of the grips. On the 1950 style ray gun project, we used some cleaner bottles and stuff, and there is a shroud that goes over the trigger housing of one of those bottles, and that's the plastic that I used to fill the hole on the top of the grip. So once again, take a little bit of sandpaper to it, paint it black, grab a Q-tip, do the metal distressing technique, and as we move through the tutorial, that'll actually start to disappear pretty well. And all that's really left to do is pick what color you want the grips. You could do them black, brown, whatever you wanted. I started trying to make these ones look kind of like wood. The gun's pretty much done. You can go through and find little spots to detail with an accent color. I used a brass color, and you could conceivably just keep doing things like these ribs on the top. You could make it as complex as you wanted. Well, you know, you get the idea. That's what you end up with, and it's a pretty decent looking prop, and the most expensive part of the whole thing was the paint. So take your time, have some fun with it, and you can make a Nerf gun or a Nerf knockoff gun look pretty cool if you just use your imagination. All right, that's all I got, people. I'll talk to you next time. Hazmat out.